Hello, and welcome to the lesson. This lesson is about getting ideas out of our head, and we're going to call this Bringing Your Ideas to Life, Inspiration to Implementation. It's so important to get the ideas out of our head and onto paper, and it's also uncomfortable. And the reason it's uncomfortable is because once it gets out of our heads and onto paper, then it's subject to other people to read it, to comment on it, and to give ideas. And so, one of the things that I want to caution you is to remain encouraged, but not to be so guarded, because now you'll be open to a little bit of constructive rather, criticism, and people are trying to help you to frame your idea into a working plan. And so this is why I start out with this lesson, because now everything is going to have legs on it. I call it legs because legs carry us and move us. And so we are trying to put legs onto your idea so that it will move forward from in your head where it's been comfortable for a long time, now onto a plan document. So let's get started. So, ideas solve problems. Scientists say that while thinking about a particular a particular problem rather, your brain is instinctively trying to combine all of your previous knowledge and all of your experiences into a huge puzzle picture that'll provide an answer to the problem. The issue with the way that our brains think is that sometimes we do not have previous knowledge and experiences to move forward. We just know that we are trying to solve a problem. And so this is one of the things that you will come up with, is that if you do not have previous knowledge in solving this problem, then you're going to have to research, you're going to have to talk to people who have experience and knowledge in solving the problem, and so that you can fit those puzzle pieces into the correct area. Okay. And so I want you to be very aware. I know this is a little bit of a science lecture, but be very aware of how your brain is thinking about solving problems. We gather information into our brain, and then the information that we don't have, we should be seeking from other resources, other people, researching so that we can understand how to solve the problem fully. And don't discount looking at programs or services or products that are similar but different than yours, okay? Because you don't want to reinvent the entire wheel. The wheel today is still round and it still works, but there are different types of wheels, and that is what you're trying to do. You're trying to solve a problem with a different type of wheel that is different than someone else's. Your imagination is critical in solving problems. It's envisioning things. And while I'm talking, I probably will move my picture around so that you can see the slides. So, imagination is envisioning things that don't exist. And our imaginations are very powerful. They help us with guidance and faith in moving forward, because if we can see it, then we believe it. I know it sounds like a little bit of a Bible lesson, but it works everywhere. Whatever you believe, whatever your religion is that we are creatures of faith. And so we do have an imagination, and they envision things that do not exist. So you can look at any service or product or invention that was thought about, it all started right here. And so you have a, a limited amount or ability to create, and that is what you're doing with your um, innovation, your service, or your product. Okay. So your idea began as a thought or a wish and captured the first part of the entrepreneurial process that uses our minds. And the entrepreneurial process is really going to be talked about throughout this lesson, because even though you are starting a social program or a nonprofit program, um, the entrepreneurial process must be applied. It must be applied because, number one, usually the founder is the first person to work into the program. And so that person must be an entrepreneur. And so if you're not an entrepreneur, I am encouraging you to grasp the spirit of an entrepreneur because you're starting something fresh and new. Okay, so then you dare to solve a problem virtually by seeing it first from the beginning to the end, by applying out of the box concepts that may not be accepted by your peers or society. And this is the hardest part of starting up a business. And I always say a nonprofit is a business because it has to have income and it has expenses. But the difference in other businesses is that it has a charitable purpose. And so this process that I am always going to be talking about, you will be reviewing and restarting over and over again with different aspects of your business throughout the life of it. Creativity requires an open mind, and an open and curious mind allows an inventor or even a service provider, such as yourself, to see beyond what is known. And it also allows us to see a new possibility, a connection or relationship when there was none before. So, somewhere along the way in your imagination, uh, you connected the dots. You saw a void that needed to be filled, and then you connected a dot somewhere and said, I am the gap, okay? And the gap filler, all right? And so consider yourself a gap filler because in between one thing or another, there was something that was missing, and now you are filling that void, okay? You saw a new possibility, connection, or relationship that can spark an invention or a new service. So, inventive thinking frequently involves combining concepts or elements from different areas that would not normally be put together. And so, you put a few things together and said, you know what? Today, this will work. Maybe not yesterday, maybe not 10 years ago, but today, this will work. And so, and this is what makes your idea very unique. Innovation is the practical, this is practical. When we say practical, this is down to earth, nuts and bolts implementation of ideas. So this is where it comes off or out of our head, off of our imagination, and then gets put into a working idea. And so you can just look at any documentary and see the innovation that was started, the imagination with Walt Disney, with the airplane, with the automobile, and even with our new driverless concepts now that are trying to go forward, and our new space concepts that are trying to move forward. Okay, someone thought about it and then they said, wonder if I can do it. And then they said about doing the steps in, uh, uh, in the business world to create the practical implementation of the idea. And then that results in the introduction of new goods and services, and we're using them every day. Or an improvement in the offering goods and services. So if you have something old and something new, you can compare it. I have my very first iPhone that I always keep. It's non-functional and I can't even do anything with it. But I always like to look at it to compare what I had then and what I have now. It's amazing. So, innovation. You are a social entrepreneur. A social entrepreneur pursues novel applications or new and engaging applications that have the potential to solve community-based problems. And you are an individual that is willing to take on the risk. And sometimes that risk is people not believing you. And so this is why I start out and all throughout my lessons encouraging you to stay true to what you believe and do take the advice of others, but understand that you came up with the idea and you're going to have to make it work, but you cannot do it alone. And so stay true to your idea and it will come to fruition. Sometimes it doesn't look quite the way that you imagined it, but it will work out. And again, you are taking the risk and effort to create a positive change in society through your initiative. And I want to thank you for that right now. So, with implementing your idea will be tried by other people and it will be revised and reworked to make it better over time. So, listen to people, let people try it out. If you have a product, let them try it out and get good feedback. And also, um, tell people about it. Sometimes we don't want to hear some of the things that people have to say, and sometimes they're not so good. But most of the time, you can, if you're able to, tell the person what you want before they talk. You want constructive criticism that can be used to make this product better. And if they cannot give that, then move on. So I want to reiterate why business planning is so important to your idea. And in the business plan, you are, again, like I said at the beginning of this lesson, that you are taking it out of your head and now putting it on paper, putting it in a format that will give you a roadmap. A business plan is a roadmap, and it's also categorized and made into a way that other people can see it, and they can also jump here and throughout the throughout the plan, so that they can learn how to uh, understand your idea and also whether or not they want to invest in it. It's really important. Okay, so you're researching ideas, concepts, and you're writing them down. Okay, um, in a format to implement them, make money, attract investors and donors. So this whole idea that I have explained to you is called the entrepreneurial cycle. And this entrepreneurial cycle will be repeated over and over and over again as long as you stay curious and engaged in helping people, researching new ideas, keeping your mind open to filling the gaps when you see them according to staying in your mission, staying in your lane. Okay, all right. But I want you to repeat or be open to repeating the entrepreneurial cycle over and over again throughout the life of your nonprofit. And so with this, I will ask you to go on to the next lesson.